What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports, and as we make our way through the garage, through all these projects, we've got something for the dually today, guys. We got the carpet. So, a little good and bad. Okay, the good is I ordered new carpet. The bad is I ordered the wrong color first. That's what this is. Okay, so look, back when I ordered carpet for the crew cab that I did, I ordered an aftermarket carpet. They all basically come from OCC or ACC, I guess. Look, I ordered it for that crew cab, which was a 2006, I believe. And guys, the color was, they kind of guide you towards colors that fit these trucks, okay? The downside is they don't. They're not even close. And so it drove me crazy because the bottom, now that truck didn't have this kind of door panel, so it didn't have the carpet on the bottom, but the back carpet, so the carpet that goes up against the back here, that just clashed terribly with the color that they recommended. So I thought, golly, there's a ton of different swatches and colors. Surely there's a closer alternative, and there is, and it's called taupe, actually. And so I ordered taupe, and the problem is there's two taupes. There is a light gray taupe, which is what is in that other box, and there's a dark gray taupe, which is the almost dead-on match to this color. Now, that's what I got here. And I laid it out over the time. We've been on vacation for a couple weeks, or, well, a week, but it's been laying out for about a couple weeks at this point. But I want to show you the other color here. This is almost a dead-on match to the light gray interiors, like in the 90s truck, the one that Cohen uses, what we call the lawn mowing truck. So anyway, look, this isn't a direct fit. And when I say that, it's molded for the floor, but there's a lot of trimming required. So that's why you want to lay it out, try to get it somewhat flat. It's not going to be completely flat because it is molded. The other thing we got back is the seat from the upholstery shop. It is all back together with the new side on it. And I'm trying not to step on the carpet. We got close quarters here, but yeah, check it out. And I actually think it's a pretty good match. I think once we clean the top, it'll look a little closer. I don't know if you guys, how the camera's picking it up. It seems to be just a tenth off, but it's very, very close. As a matter of fact, it's as close, I think, as you're gonna get. I'm happy with it. So we gotta put that piece back on. We need to clean the top of that. So we got a lot to do, but either way, we're gonna try to get this set in there. Guys, it is gonna overhang in the front, the sides, and the back. So we're gonna have to trim several different places, but let's get started by shoving it in there and seeing what we got. You can see kind of the initial layout here. Obviously we have a heel pad. It goes where your heel would go. And I need to get that 13 out for the dash support, kind of run up beside that, but I think it's gonna tuck a little closer forward. But in order to do that, we're definitely got to trim some off the leading edge. Just not all that's gonna tuck under the dash. And then you can see how they leave you some to come out the edge. And you gotta be very careful, guys, when you're cutting this. You don't wanna cut it too short. Obviously that would be a problem because you can't add it back on. So you just wanna be very careful in your trimming process. You know, we're probably gonna have to trim, golly, probably 3 inches or so off the side. And you have to consider, I generally don't like to trim the sides until we get the seats setting on it, because when you put some weight on it, that's gonna push it out some, if that makes sense. But I'm gonna kind of let it set in here for a minute. I'm gonna get that 13 millimeter loose for the dash support, try to run it under that, and see if we can get it a little closer. I think it needs to go a little further forward. I'm actually really happy with where that's setting. I got it pushed up where our heel is actually on the heel pad when we're on the gas and the brake. This area right here that fits over like the seat controls seems to be where it needs to be. And then the kick up in the back seems to be right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start in the front because the majority of what we need to trim is the sides and the back. The front, a lot of it's tucking up under the dash, but you can also see how we've got some pieces rolled up. That's not gonna fly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim. I'm gonna pull this out, trim, you know, I don't know, maybe a couple inches off the leading edge, tuck it back in there. And then, you know, like I'll probably have to do that a couple times. I don't want to trim too much, you know. But this area right here probably will be fine. It's tucking up behind the heater box, so I'm not concerned about it. Mainly this area here, I don't want it to interfere with the pedal, so I'm going to trim there. And then you can see I already poked the hole for the piece that holds this on. I haven't poked the hole for the 13 yet. I need to do that real quick. Actually, I'll probably do that next and go ahead and lock it in. I think it's going to take some time. I'm going to probably trim those areas and then let it set a couple days in the heat, and see if it'll kind of conform more as I clean the seats. I can't just leave it alone. You can see I've trimmed quite a bit off the leading edge, and I trimmed a little off the side. It looks pretty good. Still pretty wrinkly. I got that 13 back in, and there's a bunched up spot right here. I think that'll relax with some heat. But that area right there is why I don't want to get real crazy here, because you'll notice if when I put some weight down on this, it shortens this up. So I don't want to go any shorter right now. Like I said, I think I'm going to let this set for a day or two in the shop with it getting warm, kind of conform to the floor. The other thing I did was instead of trimming this, I just put this on top of it, and you can see how close that matches. It looks really good. I think this will work. I may have to trim like the corner back here a little bit, which I'm fine with, but I want to get some weight. So the other thing I may do is I may put a couple boxes or something in here to kind of put some weight on this. The seats just aren't clean enough right now for me to put them in and let them set on the carpet, but I think it's looking pretty good. I did the same thing on the other side. Man, I love the color. The color's a really good match, guys. It's way closer than what they recommend, what the company even recommends. That taupe is as close as you're gonna get. Like, I got his swatch book, my upholstery guy's swatch book, and compared all the colors before ordering this, so I got the closest match possible. This next part's kind of interesting. I had no idea that they made a reproduction of this. I was going to try to fix this and glue it, but guess what? I hop on Amazon and they've got one brand new. Huh, how crazy is that? So if you have all your original hardware, all we need to do is use a 7mm to attach the switches to the inside of this, and all the pieces look the same. I think the color is close. I haven't even looked. Yeah, pretty dead on the color as well. But either way, we need to get our switches hooked in with the 7mm here, and then we can use our Torx to get this guy all the way in place. That's really cool that they make these. Now, I unplugged that before I put the 7s in, but now our 7s are in, and we need to get it lined up. So I brought a center punch, or an awl, to help line it up. This one goes through the actual upholstery. The other ones don't. So it kind of helps to line up your holes as you're going together with something like this, make your life easier. And I'll list this in the description down below. It's relatively cheap. I got that thing on. Wasn't the easiest thing to do. Once I got one lined up, and then the second one, they weren't too bad. But getting the first one lined up, I was kind of using this one to start with my center punch, getting it lined up, and then carefully pulling it out, putting the screw in, getting it snug. And then once I got this one in, I went back and tightened all of them. It seems like this one draws it up quite a bit, and you could see why it breaks. I mean, golly, you're pushing a lot of weight up against it when you're getting out. Also, you can see why that seam breaks. But all right, now the hard part. I got to clean the center console. Once I get the center console clean, I think I can set it in there, and that'll help push that carpet down. But I'm going to try to hit them all at the same time. I'm going to get, guys, look, I broke my extractor. I broke the tank to it, so I need a new one. So what I'm going to be using is my Echo Steam cleaner, which does a pretty good job. These seats aren't like terrible dirty, so what we're going to do is we're going to vacuum them good. Then we're going to go over with the steam cleaner. We'll vacuum them again, and hopefully that gets it good and clean. Now the downside to using the steam is I can't get it as clean as I can with an extractor. So I'm gonna have to get another extractor, but look, it looks a lot better than what it did. And I've got it set in here. And what I did was I used this to poke holes through this carpet because I ordered it without the like big backing. And I was able to poke holes and then mark my cuts. Then I went and marked this one. Now for the back one, I also cut a slit for our wires to come through. For the back one, I'm gonna go get a screwdriver or something to poke through from the bottom because that hole goes all the way through. That way I know exactly where my markings need to be. And at that point, I still got a lot of cleaning to do on the seats that I probably won't show you guys. Obviously I don't have to clean the bottom of that one because it's new, but the top I need to clean. And then we could get this stuff set in here. But I think the next avenue I'm gonna take is I'm gonna go ahead and cut the holes for the seat, these back holes on both sides. And I'm gonna start cleaning up the plastics and trimming down this where we can get our plastics back into place, including the ones that go up the back, the pillar, the piece that goes here. It all kind of has to go in at the same time. These panels all have to go in before the seat goes in. The seat actually sets on top of the plate right here. And so everything has to be in place first. I want to catch you up a little bit on what I've been doing. Obviously we got that in like I showed you. We got this seat pretty much as clean as it's gonna get. That color is slightly off, but it's very close, okay? Okay, so onto the trim stuff. You know, I told you guys I was gonna clean the trim. I've got my steam cleaner out here. I've been going at it. Here's the problem that I'm coming into. This had a bunch of like paint that somebody had drug in on their feet, okay? And so I used a scuff pad to scuff this thing up. And I thought with some chemical guys like Silk Shine, I could get the color back in it. You'll also notice that I use the steam cleaner. Guys, the steam cleaner absolutely destroys this stuff. It dries it all out. Which the upper, actually I'll just show you here real quick. The upper piece, let me shut the door and open it so you can see. But the upper piece here, you can see it's discolored. And so this needed to be replaced anyway. It's got a couple cracks back here in the back. So what I'm planning on doing here is I'm gonna actually scuff these things up with a Scotch-Brite and I'm gonna give them like a shot of paint. I may end up doing that on those panels as well. You can see how scratched up those are. But I'm gonna use some Scotch-Brite, like kind of a gray or a red Scotch-Brite on them, kind of get them scuffed. And then I'm gonna clean them with some alcohol and I'm gonna shoot them in the next couple days with some SEM paint, which I'll show you when I get to that point. But that's kind of where I'm at and the issues that I'm dealing with. It wasn't something I could get off with anything else that wouldn't discolor it like this. So we're just gonna have to deal with what we've got. The cool thing is we're not having to try to change the color of the panel. We're just going back with the same color. So it should be relatively light coats and it should hold up. Now the back panel has some scratches on it, but I think I can live with that. I got some chemical guy Silk Shine on it. Looks decent. I think I can live with that. But this piece, the kick panels, I was actually hoping the passenger side wouldn't be as bad, but I've got this one scuffed up and you can see how it's kind of whitened up. That's good. That means we've got some scratches in it and whatnot. But what we are going to be using is SEM 17223. Now, this is the color for the 03 to 07 Classic trucks. I will list this in the description down below if it's still available. It's not cheap, guys. It's about 25 bucks a can. I've got very little in this can, but you want to use very, very light coats. So we're gonna put a light coat on this. I don't think it's gonna take a lot, like I said, because we're not trying to change color. We're just trying to touch up scratches and nicks to make it look a little nicer. So I'm gonna spray one coat on and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. I don't have any way to hold the camera. I don't want to get paint all over the camera. So I'll put one little light coat on. I'll show you what it looks like and we'll kind of see how many it's gonna take. Not getting a very good spray pattern because that thing is so almost out. But you can see that just a little light coat almost covered all of our scratches. But because it's almost to the end, I've got some big blotches. Now they'll level out, but yeah, it looks pretty good. I think it's gonna take 2 coats. That was not much, just to cover that. Wanted to show you them side by side with a second coat on this one. Now look, we're not gonna take care of any of the big gashes or scratches. Obviously we can't fill that. We could really sand this down, but then we'd probably lose the texture. My main concern is I just didn't want, there's like faded spots and like just chunks of stuff. So I think we're good here. It's not gonna be perfect. look, if I can find another set of these somewhere that maybe are in way better condition, that didn't get the crap kicked out of them, then I may do that. I think this one will look ultimately a lot better because it doesn't have the gashes and scratches and whatnot. But the downside is I'm gonna have to clean this one a little better with the alcohol, because I put some of that silk shine on it trying to clear this up. So just make sure that the panel's nice and clean. You can use their soap, and there's some like adhesion promoter that they sell as well. Guys, I've generally had luck with not using that, but look, if you want to make sure it sticks, it probably wouldn't hurt to use some of that, maybe even some Bully Dog that they make. I just don't think, because we're not changing colors, that's that big a deal. If, you know, if a chip comes out of this, it's probably going to be the same color underneath for the most part. Let's catch up on where we're at. I got those pieces installed that I painted, looking a lot better. I also got all the panels installed back here in the back, just snapped right in. A little bit of sweat on there. It's hot out here, guys. But anyway, I got both sides accomplished, but look in the center. Okay, remember we wired this thing for a subwoofer, and I thought, you know, the best time to put one in is while we got it all apart. What I didn't recognize is that I thought I had a smaller amp, and I'm going to take you to the other side and show you. But what sub is this? Well, you guys have seen this. Well, you haven't seen this specific one, but in the video when we had the black step side, and back when we had the crew cab, I tried one of the Kicker L7Ts. That's what this is. It's their thin mount subwoofer with the prefab box that comes from Kicker. I had a 10-inch one, and I just wasn't really impressed, so I took it out of my crew cab, put it in Cohen's step side, back when he had that black GMC step side, and come to find out, it just didn't have enough amp behind it. It's actually a really good sub. So what I found out was a 12-inch is actually a perfect fit, and you can fit two of them, but I decided to just buy one for now. This is the 12-inch version, and the last truck we had a 10, and the 10 hit pretty well. So I'm interested to see what the 12 is going to sound like. But I'm going to take you to the other side and let's look at it, because I thought the amp that I had out here, I knew it was a Rockford amp. Was with those subs up there on the shelf, but guys, it is way too long. So what I may do is I've cut some spots in the carpet where I like to mount a smaller amp. Brought the power wire, the ground, the amp turn on, and then of course the RCAs, and then I've got all the panels back in here on this side. But yeah, we're gonna have to just kind of temporarily lay that amp in here, I think, if we're wanting to get some sound. But at this point, we've got all the pieces installed. I'll list this in the description. I will try to give you guys some sound out of it when we actually get it hooked up. I don't have the power wire hooked up under the hood to the battery. I've got the fuse in and all that, and obviously we don't have the amp hooked up, and I may end up snagging an amplifier before then. But the next thing I'm gonna try to do, I've still gotta clean the passenger side seat. I think I've got the driver's side one knocked out. I'm gonna go ahead and get it into place so this truck can actually be moved back and forth. But yeah, I mean, besides cutting the squares for that, cutting for the power wire on the other side, there's not a whole lot left to cut. I did have to trim. You could see some of this. Guys, cut a little bit, test fit your piece, cut a little more. You're obviously gonna have to get past where they hook, but don't go too far, because between where they actually snap, which is about in the middle, and here, once you push that carpet down, you don't want it shorting out and coming out from behind it. So I've still got quite a bit left up here, and I didn't cut any off the back. So the back edge, it is actually just folded up back behind here. It comes up to about right here, but I can't get a really straight cut on it with the scissors I'm using. I'm actually using those 10 snips, which aren't carpet cutting tools, but you use what you have, right? So let me get the seats in, and then we'll kind of go from there. Well, after a couple of hours of cleaning, we've got the other seat in. Look, I've got this crudely hooked up. This is not how it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to get a different amp, but it's hooked up. It's out of the way of the seat. Well, I said, we're gonna have to mess with that. I don't want anything shorting out, but I want to show you guys kind of what the interior looked like out here in the sun. It looks really, really good. I haven't went over this with any silk shine. I was trying to hook up that amp. The last thing I'm waiting on as far as the amp is concerned is Cohen is bringing me an adapter to hook up to the battery, the one that like screws in. But let's go look at the other side since we're out here. It's looking really good. Definitely a big change, not a big rip, but you know, the downside is, does this match perfectly? No, I don't know if the camera picks it up. It actually looks pretty good from the viewfinder on the camera anyway, but golly, the carpet looks nice now. We got a factory set of floor mats. The only thing interior wise that I want to get new is we got to get a new steering wheel. This one's all chewed up and looks terrible. We need to probably replace some of the lighting in the dash and whatnot. But for now, I think the steering wheel will probably be my next play, just because it feels so disgusting. I hate that feel. And then I want to get a new one of these because it's cracked. And then of course I dried it all out with my steam cleaner. But let's see if we can get the stereo hooked up. I don't know how great it's going to come across, you know, on the camera, but we'll get it hooked up and see if we can get it to fire. This is what I was waiting for here. This guy here, see how that has another piece that threads into the end of it, which I have here. All we have to do is unhook the factory one, which means we can't use our little protector anymore, but we'll unhook the 8mm, push it out of there, and then we can hook up our stereo. Got it hooked up. I didn't make any adjustments on the amp. We're gonna try it with some you know, copyright free stuff, because we are on YouTube here, guys. Let's see what happens. And it's not playing. This is supposed to be copyright free bass music, so like I said, I don't necessarily think it's gonna pick up on the camera. Maybe you can see my phone here. It does all right. It's always hard to pick up bass. Look, they say these subs, they need some break-in, and so you don't want to be hammering on them, you know, right out of the gate, because you're going to blow them up, or at least that's what they say. I don't know. You know, the last one, I feel like we probably didn't beat on real hard, but eventually, you know, it did get beat on, and it was pretty loud for the little 10 that we had, and this is a 12, so I would imagine it would do a little better. Now you'll notice that I have it in the center. I think with this folded up, it's probably going to the excursion's going to push it into this, I think. Well, maybe not. That doesn't set quite as far back as a seat, but I don't think a guy could put it behind a seat with the seat all the way back. You can see we're up against it right here. So but anyway, I'm happy with the way this thing turned out. We've got it sitting here running. I'm getting ready to pull it back in the shop, but I'm happy with the seat. I'm mediocre happy with the carpet. I love the color. Okay, so the color looks really nice, especially the transition between the two. This is the closest color. I'll try to list it in the description. Guys, the color is taupe. I know it doesn't look taupe. This isn't what I would call taupe, but that is the color that they call it. But we got a lot accomplished. We got all the seats cleaned up, of course. We got this piece replaced, even though I didn't do it. It's not a dead-on match, but it's very, very close. Of course, we got all the bottoms of the seats cleaned. I went over with the steam cleaner. I really wish that I had an extractor. I'm probably gonna have to order another one. But watch for videos to come on the steering wheel and possibly this. I don't know how soon we're gonna get to that. Like I said, the steering wheel makes me nuts because I can't stand the feel of the steering wheel, so that's gonna have to get replaced relatively soon. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the video on this truck. If you did, please, like always, go down there and smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are not subscribed, go down, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell notification. That will notify you every single time we drop a new video, and stay tuned to see what we work on next.